buddies among the squires set out to catch up with the tourney season, because that's what young knights did, if they were not under orders to fight or defend their lord's castle. Another of the ways I appreciate this story is the way Doyle and Macdonald evoke the medieval mindset with respect to chivalry, which nowadays we might regard as ritualized violence. Chivalry was a way to try to put the brakes on violence in a time when there wasn't much of a safety net for ordinary people. Tourneys were martial skills contests, with rules, ransoms for the winners, paid by the losers, and perhaps a prize offered by the host of the tourney. They were also great shows for the locals, in a time when you made your own entertainment. Will briefly meets Isabel, the young woman he is destined to marry, according to their respective parents' wishes, only to discover that she has her own goals, which don't necessarily include marriage to him. But then she disappears, and Will joins the search to find her because he takes his vows seriously and tries to be a good knight. He encounters other knights sworn to Duke Anlac, who are motivated by the usual human enthusiasms: greed, lust, ambition, and, of course, there are what we'd call the adrenaline junkies who are there for the fun of bashing up each other's armor, in spite of not only the dangers on the field, but accidents like running into a tree branch that you can't see in your heavy helm and breaking your neck, as happens to Will's first opponent, Sir Baron. The downsides of fighting in armor, the battle-trained horses, the camaraderie and rivalry of the knights are so vividly evoked. So far, this is a fun, fast-paced tale with a dash of sensory realism to ground it. But then comes this moment when Will attends Mass with the other knights. "Hello, Will Odosson," whispered the man kneeling to Will's left. "I'm happy to see you here with us." Will kept his head bowed, but looked sidelong at the speaker and saw only a dark form muffled in a hooded cloak. Then the speaker's head turned, and Will saw inside the deep hood the face of Sir Baron of Stanbur. Before Will could speak, another whisper came, this time from Will's right. "Hello, Will Odosson. I also am happy to see you here." Will turned his head. Another muffled figure knelt beside him at his right hand. This one, too, he recognized. Sir O'Tyr, whose corpse lay waxy pale before the altar where the old priest chanted the funeral prayers. On my first read, this is where the hairs on the back of my neck rose. It wasn't so much the ghosts, we've met at least one before. It was the repetition, the liminality of the scene that threw me back into my readings in that difficult old German. Until that moment, I'd assumed I could predict the trajectory of the novel, which would follow the form popular for readers today. And I was fine with that. Will would fight some bad guys, overcome the sinister Wyrd, earn a title, marry the sensible Isabel. Happy ending. But when he sees that ghost to his left, and another to his right, I realized I had no idea where this story was going. The repetition, the symbols with sets of threes, the forests, the stonework that evokes the upward-reaching Gothic lines resonate with all those ancient poems that were the huge bestsellers of the 12th century. The more I read, the stronger I felt that Doyle and Macdonald got as close to what delighted our medieval ancestors as a contemporary person can, giving us a tale that might have been shared on snowy winter's evenings during the time when jousting and tourneys were still being fought. Questions of honor and meaning, friendship and enmity, horror and awe, and, of course, laughter, entertained people a millennium ago as they do now. Night's Wyrd shimmers with emotional complexity and liminal engagement with the numinous, evoking the mindset of 1,000 years ago in a way that I find essential for a medieval story. Author's note: Anglia isn't England, in spite of the occasional similarities, and the background of Night's Wyrd isn't meant to reflect English history in the world as we know it. Among the more obvious differences, in the real world, the Giant's Causeway between Great Britain and Ireland is a natural stone formation, and mostly submerged at that, and the island of Britain has never been inhabited by giants, ogres, unicorns, or other magical beasts. Chapter 1. The spring rain had fallen for a week on Restonbury Castle, but on the day before Will Odosson's knighting, the clouds parted, and the sun came out to dry the steaming earth. Squires and